Welcome in. I'm AnaMarie from Just Stamp. Today's class we are making 2 cards using the same supplies, totally different vibe. It's that kind of a lesson. Today your cut and emboss machine is going to get a good workout. If you've ever looked at your craft table and thought, I love this stuff, but I don't know what to do next, today's class is for you. I am working with one suite. It's called Lovely and Beautiful. It has 2 bundles. One's called Simply Beautiful and the other is called Beautifully Created. And I'm also featuring this month's Product of the Month, Fabulous Sayings. So it's all the things. Let me assure you there are other suites that could offer you the same kind of similar options. The same paper, same cardstock, same stamp set, die bundle, but 2 totally different looks. So the secret sauce is in the techniques, not in the supplies. So before I get started, tell me in the comments, are you crafting along or are you just watching today? I want to know. Sometimes I just need the inspiration from watching somebody else do the creating. So here we go. Card number 1. It is a bold die cut card. It's a birthday card. It's featuring another one of my favorite little bundles that's current right now. This design leans really heavy into die cutting. It's the star of the card. And so why I love it, it's especially great for beginners. Yeah, die cutting can be for beginners as well, because the die cuts give it the instant wow. There's no coloring. The layers do all the heavy lifting. I'll let you peek inside. That's what I've got going on inside. And so let me walk you through how I made the card. Then we're going to do the second card with a totally different vibe. So pattern paper, as I said, it sets the tone. That beautiful cardstock adds the contrast. The die cut flowers get layered up for dimension. And this is a great approach to card making. If you're newer to stamping, if you want some polished results, if you want to batch make birthday cards. So if you've got your die cut machine out and it's already ready to go, cut extras. That way in the future, you're ready to go and you'll be really thankful in the long run. So here's what we're doing. By the way, if you're watching this and you think I need that bundle, you can shop with me anytime. Here we go. Here's what I'm using. Our card base is a beautiful petal pink color. I've got all my die cutting cardstock that I'm going to be using to create that pretty flower and the leaves. And my colors are so pretty. Calypso Coral, Petal Pink, Granny Apple Green, Old Olive Green, and Daffodil Delight. Those are my die cut colors. I've also pre-die cut one of the background layers from the Perennial Postage die set. And if you don't own that die set, it's a keeper. It goes perfect with a lot of our card designs. You also need an insert for your inside greeting and a little bit of scrap to stamp and a layer of the beautiful paper that is found in this suite. It has little flecks of gold in it. Really super pretty. And the flip side has just a nice little floral background. So here we go. We're going to do our die cutting first. I'm going to set all the pieces aside. As I said, this is good for beginners. I'm going to show you how in just a second. These dies from the suite, and I think these are the dies found in the, these are the dies found in the Simply Beautiful dies. They are usable on the mini cut and emboss machine. And I've kind of got myself organized. I've got all my dies kind of partnered up with the colored cardstock that I'm going to be cutting on. So I have my Calypso Coral dies, and I'm going to layer up this card So I'm going to cut 2 layers using the Calypso Coral right onto the cardstock. So I like to start with the gray platform. It's platform number 3. And I know it's not what's recommended on the instructions, but if you've ever struggled with getting your die cuts on the mini, this gold platform, this gray platform is your ticket. So I've got the platform, the cutting pad, my cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and do 2 of the dies at once. And it's going to get cranked through very easy. I'll tell you something else I like to do, especially with the detailed dies. Every once in a while, so it kind of depends on which dies you're using for what once in a while means. You need to run it through with some wax paper from your kitchen drawer. It helps release the cardstock from the dies so you don't have any aggravation when you're trying to pull the cardstock off the die. Look how clean that came out. So I'm going to put those away. Trying to put away and tidy before I make a mess and get things lost, right? Okay, so then I have my petal pink cardstock, and you're watching me stack and die cut right now. This is card number 1 with the bold die cuts. Instant wow. It's great for beginners, even though it's a die cutting technique. The mini is a great intro for beginners. You can get by quite a while with just the mini. So again, platform number 3, my cutting pad, my cardstock, my 2 dies, and I'm going to add my die on top and run this through. And these dies are a little bit different than the ones we just cut with Calypso Coral. So by that I mean the petals are a little bit different. Excuse me. So I'm going to be layering them up in the tones, and I'm going to do all my die cutting first. So I've got 2 petal pink die cuts. Next, I'm going to do my Granny Apple Green outline leaves, and so these are just the outline dies. So you could stamp and then die cut your stamps, or you can just layer up with the detail. Let's see. Somehow I got this to fit right before. It'll work, trust me. Okay, so as I was saying, you could stamp your leaves and then die cut your stamped images, or you can just create some detailed leaves with the outline die and then add the detail or layer the detail, which is what we're going to do. Fairly simple. So I've got a 2-leaf petal or stem, and then I've got 1 leaf there. And let me put these away. See, I'm trying to be really good about putting away the dies, because how I don't like to lose those little pieces. Okay, so let's see if we can continue on. I've got now my old olive for the detail portion of the leaves, and they're all kind of different. You're going to see how they partner up, and I'm going to see if we can get away with one more crank. I've got Daffodil Delight. This is for the stamen of the flowers, and there are 2. I'll show you right now when we get on the platform here. Okay, so we have 2 different stamens. One is really large, it's almost like a double, and then we have that single one. And I'm going to see if I can crank this through. Oops, sometimes the dies wiggle a little bit. So I think they're all lined up. Let me crank that through. So here we go. I have my 2 stamen in Daffodil Delight. Push that through. And if you have any trouble, you could always use take your pick tool to kind of push them out. There are little points built into the die that you can push the dies through with. So you have those little tiny holes right there, if need be. Okay, so on a couple of these, we are going to need to do that. So perfect opportunity to show you what I'm talking about. So let me bring in my 2 dies. You can see, oh, look, it released it easily there. And this one, it's still kind of stuck. Just bring in your, take your pick, flip it over, and you have these little holes in the die. You can just push that right through. And we've got both pieces of that cute little detail leaf. Okay, so let's keep going. We are creating our bold birthday card. We're going to start by assembling these, and you have options. You could leave that detail in there. You can push it out, which is what I'm going to do. Either way, it's a matter of preference. And you can do this. Oops, that one's not going to release so easily. It kind of didn't cut all the way through. I'm going to have to force it just a little. It's got a little piece stuck in there. I think I'm good with it though. There. Keep going. And this one, there we go. 2, and then I've got my Calypso Coral. And if your details don't come out of the flowers, you could always run it through a second time to create that cut. It doesn't look like I need to do that. Okay, we're all set. So these are stacked in the contrasting color. I'm going to bring in the, let's see, my Calypso Coral atop my Petal Pink. And then the flip side. And there's just a matter of kind of pushing it around to see how you like the flower built. Actually, let's do this. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I did large over large and small over small. There we go. That's better. There. And then the smaller one, I'm going to do this way and that. Okay, there we go. And to secure them on this layer, I'm just going to add a little dot of glue, so as opposed to a mini glue dot. I'm just going to put a little dot right in the center there. Create my flower, and already you can see how it's coming together. I like that instant wow. It's like bam. These flowers are just gorgeous. There we go. And I'm going to do the same on building out my leaves. Now the leaves are a little bit trickier because we have all different shapes and they kind of just fit one way. So that one goes there. I'm kind of looking at the curve to match up with that leaf there. And then this one, whoops, I'm going to put right in here. And I don't like that, so it must go over here. And then this smaller one. And you could use bee tweezers or take your pick with the gum tip to hold on to those. And let's see, I think I'm gonna grab my little tweezers just because I need to put a tiny dot of glue on here. I can already see I'm kind of clogging up there. There we go. So this gets placed right, layered right over top, and you get your little detailed leaf, and do the same with the other 2 pieces. Another adhesive you could use on this one would be the adhesive sheets if you wanted to place the backing on and then run them through the cut and emboss machine. You could alleviate the green glue, which I know a lot of crafters struggle with. So for me, the key is always the dots, right? Not a lot. Place that right in there. And then I'm going to add the little stamens, same way. Put a dot and bring that over to the smaller flower. And then that's the double. And I'm going to put a couple on the end so it doesn't lift. And let's see, put that right in here. look at that. We've already got our beautiful bold flowers ready to go. I'm going to tidy up some of this area. And let's bring in our base. Again, the petal pink at standard card size, which would be 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I love to use my bone folder to fold and burnish. That gives you that nice crisp fold. I'm gonna layer up with my perennial postage die and my pattern paper. And let's see, I'm gonna do, just looking at where that green happens to fall. I think I might want it at the top. So this layer, flat adhesive, and my favorite is always the liquid glue. I call it flat adhesive because it's not adding any dimension. You could use the Seal or Seal Plus. I'm a fan of the liquid glue. It gives you lots of flexibility to move it around, shift it if you're not happy with where it lands immediately. All right, look at that pretty layer already. Again, this one's gonna go flat. And liquid glue is not a lot. It's kind of spread out there, so it's still gonna grab and adhere, but it's not gonna ooze out from the sides. That would not be pretty. And let's do our flower arranging. I know I'm gonna want that focal point to go right in there. The double coming out from the bottom. And I just wanna make sure that I'm within the area of my card base. So bring that up there. My single leaf is gonna come up at the top. And then the pretty little single posy down here at the bottom. And once you're happy with your arrangement, see, like that's hanging off, so I'm gonna wanna make sure that I bring that in a little bit lower and flip that. Okay, so once you have it arranged, you have a couple options. One of the things I like to do is just take my mini glue dots and grab a couple and secure my layers in place. That way I don't have to move around. Look, just like that. And again, because inevitably, once you start lifting your layers and moving them around, they kind of lose the positioning that you favored earlier. So I'm just going to use glue dots, secure it right in place. Now for the flowers, we might have to do it in a couple of spots. They're pretty big. Again, just lifting, positioning. So you can see I'm using several adhesives. I just like to have all my choices in my little supply kit, my arsenal, because we have different adhesives for different purposes. And I'm just going to flip that around, lift, and one more up at the top. This way, if I used my liquid glue, I'd run the risk of placing glue and it getting kind of smeared. We don't want that to happen. This one's going to be a little bit easier to place. Whoops, I say that. And let's see, just like so. Let me add a couple more. And we're almost done with this wow card. So you get a lot of wow from the die cuts. All right, almost there. Now we need to put in our greeting, which is happy birthday. And for that, we are gonna do a little bit of stamping here. I've got a piece of scrap paper. Let me move my little reference card there. And I'm using the, let's see, it's called Banner Sayings. This is a great little stamp set with lots of options. I've got a happy birthday, and then I'm going to use the wishing you good things for the insert. So I love these small sentiments. You could easily flip out or switch out your sentiments. On this card right here, you could put on, I can't thank you enough, right in there. It could be a thank you card, a celebration card, just a thinking of you with the sending love. Lots of options. It doesn't have to be a birthday card. So let me bring in the happy birthday sentiment, and I'm going to be using black, tuxedo black, and just going to flip that over, ink up. Make sure I've got a generous supply of ink on that. You could do it the other way too. Small stamps are easy, either way. Okay, I'm going to stamp right in there. All right, here we go. And I'm going to use that triple banner punch. And I'm using the punch that has, let's see, I don't know which side I'm going to use this punch right here that's only has the dovetail on one end. So to manage that, I kind of have to flip it upside down, insert my greeting, my happy birthday. Now I love this little punch. You're going to get 3 different shapes. You could punch them all at once. See, I've got a leftover there I can use for another project. I've got my happy birthday there. This bundle was out of stock for a bit. It's back in stock. And by the way, so when you shop with me, any order receives a thank you. For any order, you get a specialty card tutorial. When you bump it up to $20, you start earning Stampin' rewards from Stampin' Up. When you achieve $50, I'm going to send you another tutorial, a fun fold tutorial, and a class kit. I'll show you what that is in just a second. So here's my other form of adhesive, dimensionals. This will elevate the greeting. I'm going to put it right here at the end. At the end of my pattern paper, and it's going to pop off right there. Very simple. How pretty is that? I love it. Okay, so the card class that I'm rewarding $50 orders with this month are the cute little Valentine's cards. You will get the supplies to make one of each of these cards. So here's what your little package looks like. Everything is cut, prepped, organized for you to create the cards. So you're probably thinking, well, AnaMarie, I don't need that many Valentines. I'm going to be showing you some options on non-Valentine cards using the same supplies, almost the same premise of what we're doing here with this bundle. All right, so next I'm going to bring in my insert layer, and we're going to do a couple of things on the inside. One, we're going to do a pretty little image, a little branch with foliage on it. Comes from the suite, and I'm going to ink up in soft seafoam, and it's going to be very subtle. It's a very light green. I am going to bring it in, and I'm going to use a chipboard so I can stamp on my chipboard. Perfect for photopolymer stamp sets. Just going to press down firmly. It's very subtle, so that if you did want to write a longer note, you can write right over top. And then let's get our greeting, which says, wishing you good things. Perfect birthday greeting, right? And let's see if I can stamp straight. So my fear of stamping straight, that's the reason I stamp before I stick. So got my nice little greeting there. I'm going to put that aside, and let's see. Ready to add the insert with flat adhesive. Again, I stay about a 1/4 inch from the border or the perimeter of the insert, because glue has a tendency to ooze out. You don't want to wet, sticky mess. There we go. Wishing you good things. There's your happy birthday card. Love it. So you're all set, ready to go. Very pretty. Tell me, do you love getting perks and supplies when you're buying? So I have all those tutorials and all the bonuses for you. Do you love that when you're shopping? All right, we're gonna move on to card number 2. So happy birthday, the bold die cuts. Next, we are going to be switching gears, same suite, but a completely different feel. This one's gonna focus on stamped images. Let me grab my box. Let me clear away some of this little mess I created. All right, this one, we are going to focus on stamped images. We're gonna be adding color with watercolor brushes, blending brushes, markers. We're gonna be outline cutting. We're gonna be doing all the things on this card. And we'll see which one you prefer. So this one, just to bring out the supplies as well, I'm gonna put it on the bolder cardstock. This one's Calypso Coral. And let's just fold and burnish this and get it out of the way. Right here. Still 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.5. Burnish it. Let's see. So this is the card. You get to slow down and enjoy the process. So the die cutting comes together a little bit faster, but if you love coloring and you want more control over your color, and if you feel like your cards are meant to feel really personal and heartfelt, this is the technique. So I need my outside or my stamped layer, and I need a small little swatch of that pretty pattern paper with that gold shimmer on it. And it's going to be adhered flat. Remember, that means either liquid glue or Seal Plus. We're gonna adhere it flat right down here. We're gonna add a little strip that contrasts. So this is like a little tone-on-tone old olive. It's the flip side of one of the patterned pieces. It's a shame to not show that gold foil, but we just want a little bit of the contrast. Let's see if I get a little bit more glue out. Here we go. And I'm going to attach that right here. Hang on. So it just abuts right to the floral pattern. And right over that seam, we're going to place a little strip of golden ribbon. So I think this ribbon is called, let's see, white with gold ribbon. Tricky, right? Okay, so I'm going to put it right over the seam and just secure it on the back. We have the little options. I should have had it at the ready. I'm going to use glue dots. So my other option was tear and tape, but I don't have it ready right here. So let's see if I'm just going to put a little dot behind. My technique with the mini glue dots is not to touch, because the glue dot is going to win the sticky war. All right, so we've got our little swatch, just about a couple inches longer or wider than the width of the card base. There we go. Attach that. Before I adhere it to my card base, I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. So one of the stamps in this stamp set is a little splatter of like sunshine maybe. I'm going to take Daffodil Delight, I'm going to ink up, and I'm going to splatter a couple of spots of Daffodil Delight. Just gives you a little bit of color almost like this, the rays from the sun. And I mean, it's really subtle. Daffodil Delight on white. There you go. And I'm gonna get rid of that ink pad so I don't get inky. Get rid of the stamp. I'm going to go ahead and add it to my card base. So let's see, I'm just gonna flip this over. And again, flat adhesive. And remember, this is the card where you get to slow down and create with your coloring tools. Right there. All right, so our card base is ready. I'm gonna put it right aside. I've got some other little die cuts I'm gonna need right there. I'm gonna bring in my scrap to do some stamping. And again, because this is photopolymer, I'm gonna stamp on chipboard, and I'm gonna bring in that giant flower. I'm not even sure what kind of flowers these are. So when the image, the stamp is so large, I like to flip it over, and I'm gonna ink up this way instead of struggling to stamp the large stamp on my smaller ink pad. Just making sure I have ink all over. So maybe my my pad could use some ink on it. I don't know. Maybe. I'm going to stamp down. That was Tuxedo Black ink. Pressing firmly. When you have big images, you want to press all around. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and ink up my leaves and my other foliage. So 1, and let me flip it, and I'm going to do 2. I'm also going to do my greeting, which is "You're on my mind," and this greeting comes from that product of the month, which is a keeper for only $5, the Fabulous Saying stamp set. And this one's going to be hand snipped, or you could just cut it with your paper trimmer, but I like the effect of the hand snipping. And we need one more little stamp. There's a little tiny branch with smaller leaves. We're gonna put that right there. Okay, so let's talk about our coloring techniques. To start, we're gonna add overall color on that pretty flower, that pretty blossom. Here's where we're going to be blending. So I have a blending brush and I have my petal pink ink. And I'm gonna grab some of the ink off of the pad, pounce down there, and then blend it onto the image. And you can apply as little or as much as you want, and it just layer it on. You want to have even pressure as you're blending it. And there we go. So you can see how pretty that looks already. Kind of subtle. And because this is a brush, it's kind of not getting into those outer areas. So here's what I'm going to do. Get rid of this pad. Oh, actually I need the pad. I'm going to close it, and then I'm going to press to grab some of the ink on the lid. So just pressing down, we'll get a little supply of ink. And here's what I mean. There's that little supply there. I'm going to bring in a watercolor brush. Squeeze, whoops, a lot of water. Maybe too much. Make sure it's just pink. And here's where I'm going to bring in some color to the edges of the petal. So you could watercolor entirely. Oops, this one got wet. A little bit too much. It's okay. I'm gonna let it dry. And there's my coloring. What I'm gonna do next to add some deeper shadows, I am gonna bring in my light Calypso Coral Stampin' blend. And here's where I'm gonna add the shadow. So these little areas that are already marked on the image, I'm gonna bring in a little bit of shadowing, give the petals a little bit more dimension, and also just in here, so you could use the brush tip or the bullet tip. And I'm just gonna bring in like so. All right. So you could do a lot more detail, and I know that's a little bit blended. That's okay. I've got another one. I think I just spilt a drop from my watercolor brush. Just have to be careful to control the water. To color the leaves and the little branches, I'm using Lemon Lime Twist, and you have two options. You can do the dark first. So along the veins is where I would use the dark tip. And don't wait too long because we're going to blend it in with the light blend. So here I'm going to use the brush tip, come in and color out the branches. So we've used the blending brush, we use the watercolor brush, and we use the Stampin' Blends. This one, if you love to color, this is a card for you. And then the smaller ones, again, you can control your brush, your color with the tip that you're using. All right, so I'm gonna leave this one to dry. I did do some in advance. Let's see if I can find him. As well as fussy cut that little sentiment. I love the effect of fussy cutting around it. So let me show you what I already did. There are dies to cut out the leaves. You do not need to hand snip those. There's a die for that giant blossom, and there's a die for that little smaller spray of leaves. So we have dies to cut, outline cut, which I already did. We're going to assemble these together. So here's what we're going to bring in. I know I want my flower kind of like at an angle here. Bringing it down. I'm going to bring in my leaves like over top. And again at the bottom, let me push that up so you can see. And I'm going to bring this off to the side. And I previously die cut another little detail die from the bundle. This is gold foil, so just add a little bit of shimmer in here, right like that. And then this little twig with the smaller leaves, I'm going to place up here. And I think I'm liking that. So remember, here's where I would use my mini glue dots. So I'm going to bring those in, use my take your pick, and secure these down so they're not moving around. Get these layers in here. Well, I kind of push that down a little bit. There we go. And let me get in, grab another right in here. Okie doke. So this big blossom, however, I'm going to put up with dimensionals. So let me grab my standard size dimensionals. See, I already lost them. They're around here someplace. How can they disappear right on my desk? Who knows? You probably see them. I don't. Let me see. All right, so we're gonna have to use our minis. Shame, because this is a big blossom. Oh, let me secure that down as well. So with that, I might be able to put some dots of glue on there. There we go. And let's make sure that's tucked back where I want it to be. Right, like so. Okay, so again, I would, by choice, use the standard dimensionals since I've already lost them. Does that happen to you? Oh my gosh. So much of my crafty time is spent looking for something I just put down. There we go. Anyway, not a big deal. So you can either pick off, sometimes this helps. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. I know I have crafters that have the long, pretty nails, and it's hard to grab these backings. So take your pick tool. Peel that off, and I think I see one more. There we go. Let's bring that back right in there. And then we have our sentiment, which is "You're on my mind." This is going to be also elevated. So what I'm going to do is put dimensionals. I don't want to double stack, so I'm going to put it on the ends. There and there. So it creates a nice even support. And let's put this right in here. You're on my mind. And let's see. How about some embellishments? I have these pretty antique pearls. Let's grab some of these. And so here it is, the relaxing card to color. So if you're not one to color, you could use your die cuts instead. And let's see, where am I going to put where shall I put the embellishments? All right, let's bring one down here. Bring the medium up to the top. There we go. So there's our exterior. For our interior, let's see what we're gonna do. The interior, "You're on my mind," meant to be a note card, but let's decorate it nonetheless. One of the dies in this bundle has a little decorative element. The die itself is one. It cuts right down the middle, so you get two elements. We're going to put them right down here at the bottom of our insert. It creates a nice little focal point. You just have to be careful, however, because it is detailed cut. You don't want the glue oozing out and getting on your fingers. So let's see, right in the corner on both sides. This is just a totally elegant detail. That gold sparkle on the inside and the decorative design, kind of like a little Art Deco-ish. Hey, here we go. All right, so now I mentioned the product of the month stamp set, Fabulous Sayings. The way you get it, when you shop and you have an online or an order of $75 before all the discounts and the coupons and the shipping and tax, you will be invited to add the product of the month for only $5. And when you shop with me, I will add, whoops, that's not quite dry. I will add an exclusive customer tutorial that includes 12 tutorials from different demonstrators, all featuring the product of the month. So you will get lots of ideas on what to do with this beautiful product. And yes, the gifts stack up. So you get all the tutorials, the class kit, the product of the month. And thanks from me for shopping with me and helping me reach my milestones in my Stampin' Up career. And these two techniques from one suite designed to help you get all your supplies in use. Don't fret about what to do with it. You really don't need more stuff. You just need more ways to use what you already have. So one suite, feel bold and graphic, or soft and expressive, or land someplace in between. So beginners, start simple. If you're feeling confident, you can add the detail and the techniques. Let's compare which you like. Bold and simple, soft, subtle. And if you're looking for a supply list or more details or all the pics, make sure you check the blog, AnaMariePalmer.com. Everything is going to be laid out nicely and tidy for you. It should be up on the blog by tomorrow morning. You can always hop over to YouTube and watch the complete video if you want to craft along with me. And what you want to do is save this video for later if you didn't get to watch. Let a friend know about it if you liked the products, because, my friend, your stash is more powerful than you think. I'm going to see you soon, like tomorrow, around the crafty table. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you're inspired. See you soon.